friends, goodness, and wisdom to all. Welcome at the Sumeru Club, and today we begin a story about unusual and scary places in Russia where unbelievable events happen and where the most mystical stories are born. There are many mystical places on the planet in which something strange happens all the time. In such places, under unusual circumstances, people disappear, mysterious visions appear out of nowhere, UFOs are observed, as well as luminous balls of plasma hovering in the air. The most mystical and unbelievable stories are told about such places. Since ancient times, when paganism reigned all over the world, there were ancient temples in such places where sacrifices were made and the priests communicated with their gods. Perhaps, as some scientists-utologists believe, the ancient gods were aliens who taught everything to our then unintelligent ancestors. It follows from their theory that the anomalous zones are located on certain parallels of the globe and are connected with each other. Therefore, these places could well be a kind of landing sites for starships, and the astronauts were taken as gods and worshipped them. Well, every assumption has the right to exist because man always tries to find some explanation for what he can't understand. There are similar anomalous zones on the territory of Russia. These places are full of mysteries, sometimes creepy and freezing to the blood. Legends are made about them. People are afraid to be in these mysterious places, and animals do not approach even a kilometer. But curious tourists, despite the fears of the locals, actively go there. What is very disturbing to scientists around the world to explore these anomalies and understand their origins. Malab Triangle. One of the mysterious places of the Urals is a small village with a simple name, Malevka. It is located on the border of the Perm and Sverdlovsk regions. Near the village flows the river Silva. On the opposite side is an anomalous zone called Malevka Triangle. In ancient times, this place served as a shrine for the Mansi people. That's where the prayer stone, an altar for sacrifices, was located. This is what gave the settlement its name. In 1983, the quiet village of Malevka became known throughout the country. Perm geologist Emil Bachurin, as usual, went on a winter hunt but suddenly came across a strange phenomenon in this place. It was a round-shaped mark whose diameter was 62 meters. Eyewitnesses claim that directly from this point a luminous purple ball rose into the sky. It turned out that for a long time local residents have repeatedly observed similar mysterious phenomena. Moreover, all the people who have been in the anomaly zone complained about their well-being. Sudden rise in temperature and headaches were noted. After the Malevka phenomenon became known in the media, Malevka became a favorite place of pilgrimage for ufologists and ordinary tourists. The list of mystical occurrences in this dreadful place in Russia was then expanded with stories of the changing flow of time, of self-discharging batteries, of humanoid figures that were recorded on film, of flying balls emitting a strange glow, of levitation of various objects, and even of encounters with humanoids. Once there was even a sighting of Bigfoot. It's hard to know how true such unexplained incidents are. Maybe there is some truth in them. It is impossible to know for sure without having been there personally. There are as many mysteries in the Malab Triangle area as there are in the Bermuda Triangle. Incredible events have repeatedly occurred at Mukurtovsky Ravine, with people noticing strange, phosphorescent humanoid silhouettes gliding gently over the ground. When taking pictures at the Witches' Rings, the pictures show white, glowing orbs floating in the air. Not far from the godforsaken Old Believers settlement called Skopino there is a 200-meter green tunnel made of tall trees with intertwined branches. And at the Black River time changes its course. Ball lightnings, occurring in this terrible place of Russia even in clear sunny weather, have also been noticed in the Malevsky Triangle. In addition, at night there can be heard blood-curdling screams of unknown origin. Perhaps it is the screams of victims sacrificed to the ancient gods, heard through the temporary portals formed in this anomaly. Not so long ago, a monument was erected in the Malab Triangle, a kneeling figure of an alien crouching on one knee. The figure is made of wood and has a height of 180 centimeters. The art object spaceship was also built, and a road sign with the inscription Malevka with the figure of a flying saucer on it appeared on the highway. Meanwhile, the scientists who conducted studies of the anomalous zone are quite skeptical. In their opinion, there is a reasonable explanation for each of the miracles. For example, the found copper pyramids, considered to be echoes of an ancient civilization, are nothing but ordinary slag left over from an old copper processing plant. They explain the strange glow by the fact that in the zone of Malab Triangle there are geological faults filled with quartzite, and it occurs due to the movement of rocks. But most people who have been to this terrible place in Russia sacredly believe in the existence of aliens and other mysticism.
Subscribe to the Summary Club and watch short versions of the most popular and useful videos every day.
The Mountain of the Dead, Dyatlov Pass. At the boundary of the Republic of Komi and the Sverdlovsk region, passing in the northern part of the Urals, unexplained incidents happen quite often. People die under unusual circumstances. It takes place on the slopes of the Kolotsayakal mountain, which sounds like Mountain of the Dead in Mansi language. Once there was a tragedy with a group of young tourists, led by Igor Dyatlov. After that, the mountain got its second name, Dyatlov Pass. It happened on the night of February 1–2, 1959. It was a clear winter day, and a group of 10 tourists, led by Dyatlov, was planning to climb the mountain. But one of the young men's feet hurt so badly that he preferred to return to the village of Vizhay. The remaining 9 hikers continued their ascent, but before it got to the top before dark, they set up their tent on the slope and decided to spend the night. At night, something terrible happened. The entire group of young people died under unbelievable circumstances. The investigation revealed that the tent had been cut open from the inside and the half-naked young men ran down the slope. Most of them simply froze to death, but the bodies of 3 of them were severely mutilated, which was the cause of death. Their ribs were broken, their heads were punctured, and one girl even had her tongue torn out. The strange thing about this incident was that there were no bruises or abrasions on their bodies. Their skin also had an unusual reddish hue, and the clothes of 2 of them emitted radiation that was twice the normal amount. On top of all this, all 9 of the dead were completely gray, and their faces were covered with an expression of unbelievable horror. It is one of the most mystical stories, and decades later, it is still full of mystery. In the 10 years following the terrible tragedy that befell the Dyatlov group, many accidents occurred. Flying over the Mountain of the Dead, 3 planes crashed. In addition, more than one group of tourists died in this terrible place in Russia, and all groups consisted of 9 people. This is quite strange, because according to the legend, exactly 9 people of the Mansi people once died here. The number 9 is a mysterious and mystical figure used in occult sciences of different peoples. The mystery remains a mystery that no one is able to solve. Lake Lovas. In the Murmansk region, in the heart of the Kola Peninsula, there is a mysterious lake called Lovas. The name in the Sami language means the settlement of the strong at the lake. It has an elongated shape running from north to south. In its water area there are about 140 islands covered with forests and 3 large straits. On the spurs of Kuiv Chora, which is on the north side of the lake, there is a steep rock with a man-like image. The picture reaches 70 meters in height and 30 meters in width. In Lapps it is called Kuva, the statue. According to one of the local legends, Kuva is an alien invader, which the local gods have turned into a pattern on the rock. In general, this place is associated with a huge number of legends and beliefs, including about northern Atlantis and Hyperborea. Locals have often noted one strange phenomenon in this place, the meringue, Arctic hysteria. This mysterious phenomenon was known as far back as the 9th century. The disease consisted in the fact that people began to perform the same movements, repeating one after another, and carried out any commands. The condition most resembled a mass psychosis. More often than not, the meringue occurred during shamanic rites, but sometimes it occurred unexpectedly and spontaneously. In 1922, an expedition led by the scientist Alexander Bachurin was sent to the Lovas area. Its participants discovered an unusual artifact in the taiga, a large granite stone, rectangular in shape, oriented to the sides of the world. On similar granite blocks the Lapps usually made sacrifices to the sun god. When the scientists were about to visit Horn Island, the locals flatly refused to show them the right way and help with the crossing. They explained that only witches have the right to visit the island because they keep horns that send up storms. But Borchenko and his colleagues did not calm down and a little later persuaded the local priest's son to take them sailing. However, they failed, as a storm broke out, the sailboat's mast was torn off, and it was carried far from the shore. Subsequent expeditions were more successful, and other scientists still managed to get to Horn Island and study it. Having examined the image of the statue, an ancient artifact of the pyramid, scientists found out that it was only a stone swell on the top of the mountain. In this mysterious place, the ruins of the ancient Hyperborea were found: giant stone arches, stairs leading into the void, altars for sacrifices, a ritual well, walls and ruins of an ancient observatory. However, the scientists who arrived there in 2000 conducted a more detailed study and concluded that there is a reasonable explanation. The ancient ruins are nothing more than the result of the weathering of the rocks. That is, the water got into the rocks, broke out huge stone blocks, and as a result, they slid down. The image resembling a human figure turned out to be nothing more than cracks overgrown with moss. They explained unexplainable accidents and frequent deaths of kayakers by the fact that the weather on Lovas Arrow changes abruptly and frequently, literally in 5 minutes. Locals are well aware of it, but tourists are not. But Lovas Arrow is still credited with mystical properties and is considered one of the unique mysteries of Russia. We have only lifted the veil of mystery that covers the most mystical stories about scary places in Russia. In the second part, we will continue to follow the anomalous zones of Russia and get acquainted with their history. We invite you to take this journey too. And friend, don't forget to subscribe to the Summary Club for becoming more successful, educated, kinder and wiser every day. Save hundreds of hours and dollars spending on boring regular education. Feel free to write your opinions and questions about each video. We read all the comments. In addition, go to our official website, where you can find reading materials or watch other videos on channel and links in the description. All the best.